Lila was a sweet and cheerful little girl who always had a smile on her face. Even though she had a serious lung condition, she kept her spirits high. She was staying in the hospital for treatment and had become a favorite of the nurses and doctors because of her positive attitude. Her parents stayed close, never wanting to leave her side. Every day she sat in her small blue wheelchair with her oxygen mask, waving at everyone who passed by. The hospital felt like a safe place, and nobody ever imagined something bad could happen there. But one night, everything changed forever. When the morning nurse came to check on Lila, the room was empty. The bed was untouched, the wheelchair was missing, and her oxygen tank was gone too. Panic spread through the hospital. Staff members searched every hallway, every floor, and every corner. Security footage was checked, but nothing showed Lila leaving. Her parents were devastated. The police were called immediately, and a large-scale search began. Volunteers from the town joined in, hoping to find any sign of the missing girl. But no matter how hard they looked, there were no answers. It was as if Lila had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of heartbreak and confusion. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The town was filled with posters of Lila's face, and her parents never gave up hope. They held on to the belief that she was alive somewhere, waiting to be found. The police continued to investigate but had no leads. They checked every nearby building, forest, and body of water. Psychics were even called in by desperate family members, but nothing helped. People in the town whispered their own theories. Some believed Lila had been kidnapped by someone who knew the hospital well. Others wondered if she could have wandered off by herself, though it seemed impossible since she needed her oxygen to survive. The mystery became one of the most talked about stories in the community. Her parents kept her room exactly as it was, with her favorite toys on the bed and her clothes neatly folded, waiting for the day she would come home. The sadness in their hearts never faded. They clung to each other, praying for a miracle, even as time continued to slip away. Nearly 2 years later, during a freezing winter morning, a city sewer crew was called to investigate a clogged waterway beneath the streets. The underground tunnels were old and dark, filled with mud and strange smells. The workers were used to finding all kinds of things down there, from lost items to animal bones. But what they discovered that day was something they would never forget. Deep inside the narrow canal, one of the workers spotted a rusted blue wheelchair half buried in the mud. Beside it lay an old oxygen tank, also rusted and broken. The workers stopped immediately and called the authorities. Soon the place was crawling with police officers, detectives, and forensic teams. When news broke that the wheelchair belonged to Lila, the entire town was shaken once again. Reporters gathered, people lit candles, and her parents rushed to the scene in tears. No one could understand how her wheelchair ended up in such a place. The tunnels were miles away from the hospital, and the path was too difficult for a sick child to travel alone. The discovery raised more questions than answers. Where was Lila? Who had taken her there? Was she still alive? The mystery that had haunted the town for 2 years returned stronger than ever. The police worked tirelessly to search the tunnels for more clues. Forensic experts confirmed that the wheelchair and oxygen tank were indeed Lila's, based on DNA samples and identification marks. But they also found fingerprints on the oxygen tank that did not match anyone from the hospital or her family. This suggested that someone else had handled the equipment. The search teams explored deeper into the canal system, using special lights and equipment to navigate the muddy, dangerous passageways. Some of the tunnels had not been used for decades and led to old, forgotten entrances that connected to different parts of the city. The idea that someone could have secretly taken Lila out of the hospital and into the sewer system horrified everyone. Her parents were heartbroken, but refused to give up hope. They held on to the idea that somewhere, somehow, their little girl might still be alive. The discovery of the wheelchair became a painful reminder of what they had lost, but also a sign that the truth was still out there. The case was far from over. As the police dug deeper into the past, they uncovered strange clues that pointed to the possibility of an old employee who had once worked in the hospital, someone who had vanished around the same time as Lila. The story remained unsolved, but the town kept searching, holding on to hope. Because sometimes hope is the only thing that keeps a broken heart going.